Welcome to physics class. Today we are going to see with chapter 2, current electricity. Already we are just seeing with this topic, current electricity, and the topics which we covered already is Wheatstone's bridge, Kirchhoff's first and second law and all that. Today we are going to see just the continuation of those topics, which includes meter bridge. This is also another form of Wheatstone's bridge. Here, what are the apparatus we are considering here is, this is the meter bridge which we use in our experiment, and this shows your meter bridge. This gives your galvanometer, this is your battery, and this is your key. Okay, and this is said to be jockey. Jockey is the one which you are going to move over this scale. So this is a scale, and here you will be having a wire. Here you will be having a wire, and over this wire, if you are moving this jockey, this galvanometer will show the deflection, and we have to just note down the point where this galvanometer will show the zero deflection. That gives your reading, and this is your resistance. Okay, so this is just the how the apparatus is. Okay, next is, what is a meter bridge? It is another form of Wheatstone's bridge. So you know already with Wheatstone's bridge we have seen that topic. Wheatstone's bridge, the condition is P by Q is equal to R by S. Here also we will be using with that same condition of Wheatstone's bridge. Then it consists of uniform manganese wire of 1 meter length. So over this fully, here you will be having a uniform manganese wire, and that is of 1 meter length. Okay, so it is another form of Wheatstone's bridge, and it consists of uniform manganese wire. Yes. Then next is, here when you see in this apparatus, there are two gaps, and that gaps are named as G1 and G2. So G1 and G2 are the two gaps where you will be placing with the resistances. Here when you place with the unknown resistance, here we are placing with a known resistance. So unknown resistance P is connected in the gap G1, and the known resistance is connected in the gap G2. Okay, then next we have this explanation. So when you see here, there it consists of jockey. I told you this is a jockey, and that jockey is connected to the terminal E. So this is a terminal E. Through what? Through it is connected to the galvanometer and high resistance. Okay. The next is a battery and a key. So this is a battery and this is a key, and these two are connected between the ends of the wire. So these are the ends of the wire. So through these ends we are connecting a battery and a key. So what all we are considering here is the jockey, which is connected to the terminal E through the galvanometer and high resistance. Next is, we are considering a battery and a key, and that are connected to the ends of the terminals. Okay, then so how we use with this is, so this is a jockey, and here we are using with galvanometer. This is the galvanometer, and this is the jockey. Yes, so as I told you already, this jockey will be moving over the scale. So when you are moving it over the scale, you will just see the deflections in the galvanometer. First, the galvanometer will show the deflection on either one side. So when you are moving over the scale, what happens is that deflection will come to zero. So just note down the point at what value this galvanometer becomes zero. That is noted, and that gives your value of the length. That is said to be the balancing length. Now let us see the description of this experiment. So in this, first let us consider the position of the jockey to be adjusted until the galvanometer shows zero deflection, as I have told you already. Let the position be J. We are noting the position to be J, according to Wheatstone's bridge condition. We know the Wheatstone's bridge condition, P by Q is equal to R by S. Now, instead of this R and S, we are going to write with one more terms. So what is the terms you will be writing is, let us consider this length. The length which I am measuring here is L1 and L2. So these are the length, which is L1 and L2. First, before writing as L1 and L2, I'm going to write as AJ and also JB, which denotes the length. Okay, and that I'm also going to multiply with the internal resistance, because we are considering with a battery here. Every battery has an internal resistance, and so I'm also going to multiply that term with the internal resistance, which is denoted as small r. Okay, so we'll be writing as P by Q, which is equal to R by S, and so this R into AJ divided by R into JB. Now this R gets cancelled. Instead of this AJ, we can write as L1, and JB we can write as L2. Okay, so we are writing as L1 by L2. Now bring this Q this side, and so we'll get as P is equal to Q into L1 by L2. By knowing the values of Q, L1 and L2, we can find the value of P, that is the unknown resistance. Next is to find the specific resistance. For finding with the specific resistance, let us take with the formula. Resistance is equal to rho into L by A, where rho denotes the specific resistance here. So resistance into A divided by L. That is the next step we'll be writing. Resistance into A divided by L. Instead of this resistance, I am writing here as P and this L as it is, and divided by A. Okay, so this is about the meter bridge. So using meter bridge, we can find the value of resistance. This is the resistance and also the specific resistance. Okay, so the meter bridge is used to find the resistance and specific resistance of the wire. Yes, clear. Next is we are going to see with the next topic, that is potentiometer. Okay, so what is a potentiometer is same as meter bridge, but what is the difference here is there you will be considering with only 1 meter wire, but here this wire is of 10 meters, but it is not denoted here, but that will be of 10 meters. Okay, then at the top you'll be connecting, so this all will not be connected, you'll be connecting only with battery, and here there will be a key that denotes that is a primary circuit, and below this you'll be having a galvanometer, high resistance and a jockey. So this all will denote the secondary circuit. Okay, so this is just the introduction of potentiometer. So when you see here, first point is it is used for accurate measurement of potential difference, current and resistance. So what all can be measured is potential difference can be measured, current and also the resistance. These all can be measured using this potentiometer. Next is it consists of 10 meter wire. Next, battery, key and the rheostat are connected to form the primary circuit. Then Lagrange cell, galvanometer, high resistance and jockey, that forms a secondary circuit. So what all forms a primary circuit? Battery, key and a rheostat, that forms a primary circuit. Then next is Lagrange cell, galvanometer and high resistance and also jockey, that forms the secondary circuit of this one. So this is the potentiometer. Okay, so next is we'll just see what are the other things it consists of. Let I be the current, potential difference. So we are considering a condition. So what is the condition is, if the condition here is the potential difference which is equal to the EMF of the cell, then no current flows through the galvanometer. If the potential difference it is equal to the EMF, then no current flows. Okay, so that is the condition we are considering here. Potential difference EMF equal இருந்துச்சுனா என்ன ஆகும், current flow இருக்காது அப்படின்றத சொல்லிருக்காங்க. Next, let CJ be the balancing length. So balancing length வந்து நம்ம என்ன மெஷர் பண்ணிருக்கோம்னா CJ அப்படின்றத மெஷர் பண்ணிருக்கோம். So next is potential difference is given as IRL. So potential difference எதுக்கு ஈக்குவலாக இருக்குது? EMFக்கு ஈக்குவலாக இருக்குது இல்லையா? ஸோ அதனால் EMF எப்படி நோட் பண்ணுறோன்னா E. So that E is equal to IRL. Okay. இப்போது I and R வந்து constants அப்படின்னா we can write this as E proportional to L, where E is said to be the EMF. E என்றது நான் ஃபஸ்ட்டே சொன்னேன், that is equal to the EMF, and L is said to be the balancing length. So we can say that the EMF is directly proportional to the balancing length. Okay. So the next is the EMF is proportional to the balancing length. Okay. So the general conditions which you will be using here is E is equal to IRL. So this is a condition for the potentiometer. Yes. So this is a potentiometer. Here this battery, key and a rheostat, this forms a primary circuit, and this is a DP/DT switch, galvanometer, high resistance and a jockey. So this all forms a secondary circuit. So we'll be just seeing with this type of thing. This type of DP/DT switch you will be considering in the next question. So next question what we are going to see is about the comparison of EMF. So when we compare the EMF, what happens here is, I'll just say what will be happening here, then we'll just see with the theory of this. This is a jockey, as you all know. So what you are going to do is, you are going to move this jockey throughout this end. So from this A till B, what you are going to do is, you are going to move the jockey, and you'll just note down at what point this galvanometer will show with a zero deflection. So at that point we'll just stop and we'll just note down with a reading. That is the length, is it not? But here what we are going to do is, we are going to consider with this one. This is a DP/DT switch, double pole double throw switch, where we can connect either with the cell E1 or with the cell E2. Yes, when you are pushing a button which is here to this side, E1 will be connected, so that gives the balancing length for E1. But when you are switching on to the other side, then E2 will be connected, that gives your balancing length for E2. Okay, so this is how you use for the comparison of EMF. So next is comparison of EMF. Potentiometer wise connected to the battery, key and a rheostat. This forms a primary circuit. It is connected to the terminal N of the DP/DT switch. Other end M is connected to the jockey through galvanometer and high resistance. Then cell of EMF E1 and E2 are connected between the terminals DP/DT switch. So this is all which is there in your diagram. So here when the DP/DT switch is pressed towards M1 N1. So M1 N1, when you are switching, what happens is the cell E1 will be connected. When the E1 is connected, let us calculate the balancing length to be L1. Next is when it is switched over to M2 N2. This is M1 N1. This is M2 N2. When M2 N2, the balancing length we are considering as L2. Let R be the internal resistance. So we know the condition E is equal to IRL. When you are writing for E1 and E2, E1 is IRL1, E2 is IRL2. When you divide this E1 by E2, IR gets cancelled, you will get just L1 by L2. And so this is about the potentiometer, and this is a comparison of potentiometer. So this value we can use it for all the problems and also for your practicals which you will be using. So the condition is E1 by E2 is equal to L1 by L2. Okay, thank you. Next topic what we are going to see is about heating effect of electric current. So in this heating effect of electric current, when the current flows through a resistor, some of the electrical energy is converted into heat energy. So what happens is, when there is a current flow, generally the electrical energy will be converted into heat energy, and this heating effect is known as a Joule's heating effect. Okay, so when the current flows, electrical energy is converted into heat energy. So what are all the examples? We can say that in iron box. So in the iron box, when you are passing electric energy, what happens is that electric energy is converted into heat. Okay, so those things we'll be seeing in this Joule's heating effect. So first we'll see with what is Joule's law. So Joule's law is given by the formula W is equal to VI into T. Since the work done is also equal to the heat energy, we are writing as H is equal to VIT, or the other formula is H is equal to I square into R into T. So why we are writing as I square is because we know from Ohm's law V is equal to I into R. That I into I, that becomes as I square. So I square R into T. From this we can say that this heat energy is directly proportional to the square of the current. So it is directly proportional to the square of the current, and it is directly proportional to the resistance, and also it is directly proportional to T. What is T? Is the time of flow. Okay, so this is about the Joule's law. Yes, so we have to mainly know this equation, H is equal to VIT, or H is equal to I square R into T. Yes, then next is application of Joule's law. So we have so many applications. We'll just see one by one. First application what we are using here is electric heaters. So there's electric heaters which includes electric iron heaters and also toasters. What is happening here is the heating elements is made up of nichrome. So what is a nichrome? It is an alloy which is a combination of nickel and chromium. So we are combining this nickel and chromium. That can be written as nichrome. Okay, nichrome. Okay, so that is the alloy nichrome. And this nichrome has a high specific resistance. So it has a high specific resistance, and also it has a high temperature. Okay, so these are the properties of nichrome. So this Joule's law is used in this electric heaters. Okay, and that heaters are made up of nichrome. Yes, we have some diagrams of this. This is electric heater, electric iron, electric toasters, etc. Next example is electric fuse. So in fuse, we all use with the fuses in our houses, is it not? So in house what we do is, what for it is used? It is used for protecting the device from high passage of current. So in the device nalo current அதிகமா pass ஆகாம அதை protect பண்றதுக்காக என்ன பண்றோம்? We are using with this fuses. So it is a short length of wire. நீங்களே பார்த்திருப்பீங்க, அது ஒரே ஒரு சின்ன வயர் தான். அந்த வயருக்கு என்ன இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா low melting point இருக்கும். So low melting point இருக்கிறதுனால என்ன ஆகும்? Melt ஆகி break ஆகிடும். எப்போ? When the current exceeds a certain value. So certain value exceed ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா அது என்ன ஆகிடும்? மெல்ட் ஆகிடும். ஸோ அப்போ தான் நம்ம வந்து ஃபியூஸ் போயிடுச்சு அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு சொல்லுவாங்க இல்லையா? ஸோ அந்த வயர் என்ன ஆகிடும்னா கட் ஆகிடும். ஓகே, ஸோ தட் there will not be any current flow in it. Okay, so here we have the diagram of that fuse, electric fuse. So this is the one where you will be using in your home also. Here it will have the wire, so from here to here. So when there is large flow of current, what happens? This breaks. So when it breaks, there will not be any current flow in this. Okay, so this is about the electric fuses. So next we have with the electric furnace. This furnace is used to manufacture large number of materials such as steel, silicon, carbide, quartz, gallium and arsenide. So these electric furnace is used to manufacture with large number of materials. When you manufacture like that, what happens is it produces high temperature up to 1500 degrees Celsius in the case of molybdenum nichrome wire. When you are using with the carbon, it has up to 3000 degrees Celsius. Okay, here we have the diagram of this electric furnace. So this is electric furnace which produces large heating effect. Next is electric lamp. You know very well with the electric lamp, it is a tungsten which is kept inside a glass bulb. So tungsten will be kept inside a glass bulb and heated to incandescent by current. With the help of current, what we are doing is it is being heated. Okay, and in incandescent electric lamps, only up to 5% of electrical energy is converted into light, and the rest is wasted as heat. So mostly 5% is only converted into light, and the rest is being wasted in the form of heat. Okay, so this is about the electric lamp, and here we have the diagram of this electric lamp. So this is electric lamp, you know this, and what is said here is only 5% is being used, and the remaining is heat. You know that when you just keep your hand near the bulb, there is lot of heat which is being produced near the bulb, is it not? And so we can say that there are large amount of heat energy which is produced. Next is thermoelectric effect. Thermoelectric effect are all very important topic. We have the three main topics in this, which is Seebeck, Peltier and Thomson. So what is this thermoelectric effect is? It is just the conversion. So what we convert is conversion of temperature difference into the electrical voltage. So temperature difference என்னவா convert பண்றோம்னா ஒரு electric voltage convert பண்றோம், and vice versa. Vice versa is electrical voltage can be converted into temperature difference. So that is your thermoelectric effect. There are of three types: Seebeck effect, Peltier effect and also Thomson effect. So we'll just see one by one what it is: Seebeck, Peltier and Thomson effect. Okay, so first we are going to see with Seebeck effect. So in Seebeck effect, when you see here, there are two materials, two type of materials here. One is a hot material, here is a hot material, and here is a cold material. And over this, when you are placing a metal like this, what happens is there will be current flow, and that current flow is measured with the help of a galvanometer. Okay, and so we can say that when there are two metals which are connected to the two junctions, there will be flow of heat. Okay, so this is the Seebeck effect. Yes, so we'll just see the statement of this. Enclosed circuit consisting of two dissimilar metals. So we are considering a dissimilar metals which is hot as well as cold. When the junctions are maintained at different temperatures, what happens is an EMF is developed. So whenever you are connecting like that, EMF will be developed. So the current which is flowing through that is called as a thermoelectric current. The EMF which is developed, which is called as a thermoelectric EMF, and the dissimilar metals which we are using, that is called as a thermocouple. Okay, so this is just about the Seebeck effect. Okay, so Seebeck effect, the terms which you have to know is thermoelectric current, thermoelectric EMF and thermocouple. Okay, next we have the applications of Seebeck effect. In this application of Seebeck effect, first it has been used in the thermoelectric generators. It is used in the thermoelectric generators. Next, it is used in the automobiles for increasing the fuel efficiency. For increasing the fuel efficiency, it is used in the automobiles. Next is it is used in the thermocouples and also thermopiles to measure the temperature difference. So these are the applications of Seebeck effect. First one is it is used in thermoelectric generators. Next, it is used in the automobiles for increasing the fuel efficiency. Then it is used in the thermocouples and thermopiles to measure the temperature difference. Next is the Peltier effect. In this Peltier effect, so what we will be seeing here is, we will be considering with the two dissimilar metals. The metals which you are considering here is copper and iron. So these two are connected to the battery. So battery, when you see, this is positive and this side is negative. Always what happens, the current flows from positive to negative. So here also the current flows from this side to this side. So we can say that the current flow is from copper to iron, because from this side it is moving to here. So we can say that when the current flows from copper to iron, what happens is one end becomes cooled, okay, and the other end becomes heated. So where it has been cooled, what happens? The heat is completely absorbed. So it absorbs the heat from outside. From outside the heat is absorbed. At this place the heat is evolved. Evolved is it is giving out with a heat. Yes, same way when you consider for the next diagram, here we have the copper and here is the iron, and when you see the position of the battery, it is like this. So here is positive and here is negative. So always current flows from positive to negative, and so the current flows from this side to this side. Okay, so when it is flowing like that, what happens is this end becomes cooled and this end becomes heated. So where it is being heated, the heat is completely absorbed and it is evolved is given out, and where it is being cooled, the heat is completely absorbed. Okay, so this is the statement of the Peltier effect. So if you are clear with this diagram, you will be able to write the sentences. When an electric current is passed through a circuit of thermocouple at one junction, what happens? Heat is evolved at one junction and absorbed at other junction. At the junction A, when the current passes from copper to iron, heat is absorbed and the junction becomes cold. So absorbed ana enayidum, cold ayidum. At the junction B, when the current passes from iron to copper, what happens? The heat is evolved ana enago, it becomes hot. Okay, so this is about the Peltier effect. Yes, are you all clear with this Peltier effect? Yes. So next we are going to see with Thomson effect. So what is the difference in this Thomson effect is, here we are using with a full rod. Here is a rod which we are using. This full rod, it is being heated. So when you are going to heat like this, what happens is one side the heat is absorbed and on the other side the heat is evolved. Same way when you are considering here. But what is the difference is when you are considering the copper as well as the iron. So when you are considering the copper rod, it moves from, so this is the copper one. So here we are using this to be the copper and this to be the iron. So when you are using the copper, see here, if the 2 points in a conductor are at different temperature, the density will differ. Whenever the 2 points differs, what happens? The density also differs. And same way, if 2 points in a conductor are at different temperatures, the density will differ. So what all it differs is, density will be different and there is also a potential difference which is created. Yes, so when the 2 points differ in the density, the potential difference is created if the current is passed through the rod and which is heated. So we are going to heat the rod. What happens? The heat is absorbed along AC. So along AC the heat is absorbed and along CB the heat is being evolved. So if it is being absorbed and evolved like this, that is called as a positive Thomson effect. Okay, so along AC if it is absorbed and along CB if it is evolved, that is called as a positive Thomson effect. And the next is the reverse of this. So here we have the example, zinc, silver and cadmium. So these are the examples of this positive Thomson effect. Next we have when the copper rod, when it is heated and the heat is evolved along CA and it is absorbed along BC, then that is called as a negative Thomson effect. Okay, so this is about the Thomson effect. So we have seen just with all the various heating effects such as Seebeck effect, Peltier effect and also Thomson effect. So these are all very important questions which will be asked in 3 marks. So make clear with all these topics. Here the negative Thomson effect, the examples are given: platinum, nickel, cobalt and mercury. Yes. So the topics which we have seen today is about the meter bridge, which is one of the application of Wheatstone's bridge, and potentiometer. This meter bridge and potentiometer will be using even in our practicals, so make clear with all this, and these are all very important 5 marks also, 5 mark questions. Then the other topics which we saw is the comparison of EMF using potentiometer. That comparison also, it is a very important question. Then comes the Joule's law. Joule's law will be asked mostly in the 3 marks, and the remaining questions which I've told you with the Seebeck effect, Thomson effect, Peltier, and the Seebeck, Peltier, and the Thomson effect. Okay, so these 3 are also very important. Make clear with all these topics. Okay, thank you.